Today, we're going to look a little bit at some jiu-jitsu stuff. We're going to talk about the updated gi rankings that old Joey Gilps has been pushing through, and then we're going to look at some Aiga matches, like just some select matches from this last season, because we got some more Aiga stuff coming up. But like first, let's go ahead and dive into these updated FloGrappling gi rankings. Obviously, you guys can find these on the site at FloGrappling.com. Just click the rankings tab, and then right here we have some of the updated gi rankings. Joe, go ahead and give us the rundown. Is this the pound for pound list right here, Slack?
This is the pound for pound. Good. I'm glad we could get it up here on the board. Number one pound for pound gi athlete is Mika Galvao. I know what everybody's thinking. What does he pull when he grips? Looks like a 160. Yeah. Respectable number. From there, two-time world champ, three-time world champ now, Pato, Eric Muniz. He was kind of like a tough one to place after Worlds because he won the absolute, but he lost his weight class to his brother by knee bar. So that's why he's not in the number one spot.
Real quick, could you slide it over to the right a little bit? I'd like to see what they previously were. Yeah.
There they go. Perfect. Although these are all just like, because these have been updated since Worlds.
Gotcha.
One thing I did that I realized was wrong, you can see at the bottom of the list, I moved things around. I had Bebeto over Taliesin at the weight, but in the pound for some reason, Taliesin was higher. I switched that around. That was my bad. I messed that up. So this is kind of where things stand heading into crown season. It's kind of why we're talking about a lot of gi stuff is like we're getting ready for the crown. They've announced 3 of the divisions so far, and it's going to be a super exciting tournament. It's like, how about we go to like featherweight would be a great
Just
one.
Real quick, man. What's crazy about this list is that it's all Brazilians except for Adam Wardzinski, which is kind of wild. I feel like we need to get some of our kind of Keenan Cornelius's and our USA guys.
No Americans. Yeah.
I know, no Americans on there. It's kind of crazy.
Why do you think it is?
I guess just the explosion of no-gi, I think, has really taken a lot of the American athletes from the gi. You know, you had really good guys like I guess he's not American, but I was going to say like, you know, Roberto was on his way to kind of, you know, being up there, and then now he kind of is a little bit more of a no-gi athlete. I thought a lot of these guys, Levi, another guy who's not American, but
even just non-Brazilian. We're not just looking just for Americans, but like the variety is.
Yeah,
like
I think it just took a lot of the no-gi just really took a lot of the athletes away from the gi for whatever reason, good or bad. You know, obviously there's still plenty of talent in the gi out there, but it's just crazy to see that the Brazilians have really taken over.
Absolutely crushing, absolutely dominating. Let's take a look at featherweight if we can and get that back up.
But shout out to Adam Wardzinski too.
Shout out to Adam.
Adam's dog, bro. Holding it down.
Yeah, that was sick.
This weight class coming into like the World Championships, we said that this was definitely one of the toughest. If we get back up here on the board in the studio, I would also really appreciate it. Number one is going to be Mayram, and he's been absolutely crushing it. He won the World Championships. Number 2 ranked is Kennedy, who won 3 out of the 4 majors this year. Even though he didn't medal at Worlds, I still thought that his 2024 season was strong enough, and he had beaten so many of these guys that he could get this. There were definitely some shakeups. We had AJP Dallas this weekend, right? And there was a bunch of ranked people. Some didn't end up showing up, but still enough that we could get a lot of really solid results. One major result, Adamir Barreto, who had a really good year, beat Isaac de Wetterlin at Euros, kind of the first big upset of 2024. He made the world finals. He actually lost at AJP. He lost to, I think it was Israel Almeida, beat him in the finals. Almeida's been having a really good year for GF team. He's going to be at the crown. I think he's definitely a guy that people should be looking out for. On this list coming to the crown, I'm pretty sure Kennedy Maciel is coming. I know like Marco Mendez and Eduardo Granzado are going to be at the crown. They both had a really, really tough year. So overall, it's a really, really strong list that's going to be there. There's also going to be some people at the BJJ Stars Grand Prix that's going on just a couple of weeks after that. So if you're a featherweight in the gi and the top 10, top 15, it's going to be a really, really busy November for you probably. They also announced the field at heavyweight and at middleweight, which is going to be really interesting. We could go to one of those too. Something I did, let's go to middleweight. Something I did is after Worlds, I had taken out a lot of the people who maybe competed at a different weight class. Mika is a good example. Like he competed at Worlds at lightweight, but he had such a good year at middleweight, winning 3 of the 4 majors that I figured I should probably just put him back in. And Andy, who obviously placed second at 3 of the 4 majors and then moved down to lightweight for Worlds. This weight class, a little tough to rank, and I would like you guys' opinion on this. Jackson Nagai at the number 1 spot. Won Pans at lightweight, bumped up to middleweight, won Worlds, toughest tournament of the calendar year, obviously. So I have him here in this number 1 spot. But I think there is an argument to have Mika at that number 1 spot because he was so dominant throughout the year. And then obviously Tynan at number 3, he lost by DQ at Worlds. But, if he were to like win the crown, for example, he could be back in that number 1 spot as well. What do you guys kind of see as the layout of this middleweight class?
Has Mika and Jackson ever fought, I wonder?
They have not fought at this weight.
Yeah.
Not in the gi. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Mika's number 1 pound for pound, right?
He is.
And he's number 1 lightweight.
At lightweight, yeah. And
So-
number 2 here.
I guess there's an aspect where it's like, if you're just randomly going to be like, is Mika the number 1 middleweight? Probably. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But Jackson, the guy, did win the division, so it's at Worlds, so it's kind of like, how do you not give the guy who won Worlds the number 1 spot? But there's just a dynamic where jiu-jitsu is a weird sport where like people can compete in so many different categories and be ranked in so many different ways on no gi, WNO rankings, gi, ADCC Open rankings. There's just like a million different ways to be ranked, kind of, in different spots that I feel like I would be fine with either, with even just like removing Mika almost and being like, nah, he's just ranked in the thing he ended up doing, the world championship, or even just like, yeah, letting him be there. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's kind of, I feel like it's hard to just be like,
Yeah, there's no like simple answer, right?
yeah.
It is ultimately like I just have to make a choice at one point.
Yeah.
There's no like 2
No,
plus
I think
2 is
I think
equal
I think it
in.
looks good. I think I agree that you kind of got to give Jackson the number 1. He is the reigning world champion in the weight class, and just hopefully you can see Jackson versus Mika in the future here. That's probably a pretty good match.
That would be pretty cool.
Any of these top 3 guys, Jackson, Mika, Tynan, I think all obviously make for a great match. I think we all look at Mika and Tynan as one of the biggest matches we can make in gi jiu-jitsu, right? That would be such an impactful, important match for the gi, 2 of the biggest stars.
They fought once early on in black belt,
Super
right? I
early
think it's like
on.
one of the only losses Tynan had or had up.
It was like at like EUG or something.
Yeah, Emerald or UG.
And it was only like a 5-minute match. It was very short.
Yep. Close match,
very
obviously.
close.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
interesting too because like, Mika's made a lot of noise about kind of sticking with no gi right now. So kind of to your point, Trey, it's like interesting how with these 2 sections of the sport, it's like how often will we see these people kind of drop out for a big stretch just to focus on no gi,
For
and how
sure.
does that kind of offer spaces for people to kind of move up in the rankings?
And it being like an off ADCC year, 2025, right? I think that's when like you do see a bit of an explosion of
I agree.
gi talent and stuff like that. So this next year, I think will be a really badass gi year.